Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you how to construct all the electronic components that go inside your lamp. You should have been given by your teacher 2 lengths of wire. Don't worry, yours will be longer than the ones I'm showing you here in this example. A plug, a switch, and all the parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the bulb holder. Okay, so they're all the parts you need. The tools you're going to need are over here. You're going to need a pair of scissors, you're going to need some wire strippers, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, crosshead screwdriver, not sure if you can see that on the camera or not, and then an electrical flat head screwdriver. So they're the components you're going to need. You're also going to need some electrical tape, a bit like this. Doesn't matter about the colour you've got, but it just insulates the wires. Okay, so they're the tools you're going to need. So what you're going to be constructing, you will have an example on your desk, and this is the example. So we have the bulb holder over here, which is wired into the switch, which is then wired all the way into the plug. Now this is exactly how things are, all electrical things are wired up inside plugs, so this skill will be useful to you moving forward. You'll know how to wire a plug, you'll also know how to wire a switch, and you'll also know how to wire a bulb holder. So you need to follow these instructions, and the instructions that the teacher gives you quite closely to make sure that you get this correct. Okay, we're dealing with electrics. We don't want to wire this up incorrectly, have fires or explosions and things like that. But if you do this correctly, you should have a working light. Okay, so first thing you need to do is you need to take your wires, and they have already been stripped. The white part, the insulation that keeps the 2 wires together, has already been stripped for you. What you need to do is you need to strip about a centimetre and a half off the blue and brown wires on the blue and brown ends. So basically the copper wire inside it is showing. So to do this, you're going to need your wire strippers. Okay, and all you do is you take the cable, you take your wire stripper, and what you've got, hopefully you can see that on the camera there, is what you've got there is a sort of gap, a V gap there, which won't cut all the way through, just cuts enough of the plastic away just to strip the wires. So what you need to do is cut about a centimetre off, as I said, pull off that, and then you've got your wire there. Okay, let me show you one more time. Place that inside like a pair of scissors, pull and cut. You don't want to be removing this copper, you just want to be removing the outside section, and you need to do this on all of the ends. So like so, it's pretty easy. Make sure you don't cut all the way through, you're just cutting the plastic and then pulling it off there. Okay. Right, once you've stripped all these ends, the next stage is to take all these wires and twist them together, okay? We don't want all the separate little wires becoming separate, we want them all together. So you need to twist up, just grab them and twist them using your fingers. To be careful, they can be a little bit sharp, so just twist them together like so. So we're winding all of these up and twisting them so all the separate little strands become like one thick wire. Okay, so once you've done all those, I'll pause the video here, and once you've done all those, you do all of those, we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, so the next stage is we are going to sort out wiring our plug. Now if you notice, actually on here it tells you exactly how to wire a plug. It has our blue neutral wire going over to the one side, it has our earth, which we don't actually have, and it has our live wire that goes over to the left hand side. Okay, so what you need to do first of all is take this bit of cardboard off. You can keep that to the side if you want, just to make sure you're doing this correctly. Now the first thing you need to do is undo these screws. So you're going to need your Phillips screwdriver, and you're going to need to undo these screws, which will open up the plug. Okay, so like so. Okay, then what you need to do is you need to unscrew these 2 screws at the bottom. And what that will do, if you look at it from the side, it will loosen up this holder here. Okay, now you can take this all the way off, which is probably the easiest thing to do. So then you can place the wire inside, and then so undo these, and then this black part here just comes off like that. Then what you need to do is take your wires and place them inside the plug. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing our brown one here in next to the fuse, and then bending our blue one round to the left hand side to the neutral peg, the neutral position there. Okay, so we can have our grey one here, our brown one, sorry, here, and our blue one here. So the next thing you need to do is you need to take your Phillips screwdriver and you'll need to loosen these screws on the top. Okay, so loosen these. This one's a little bit tight. Let's see if I can get it in here. There we go. And we loosen up these ones here to allow our wires to go in. All right. So we want to place it in here, and we want to place our brown one as far in. Let me show you there, as far in as we can get it. Once the brown one is in, you can then tighten up this bolt, and you should feel it get really tight, and that will pinch down on the copper wire. Okay, so we're pinching down on that copper wire, doing up this one here nice and tight so it doesn't fall out. Then now this one is a little bit tricky, and you can push this one up. We're going to bend the blue one round and place it inside like so. So we're going to place that in there, and this one's a little bit more tricky, and then we will tighten this one up and pinch it as well. Okay, so we're wiring our blue wire to the left and our brown wire almost straight ahead, just to the right. Okay, there we go. So we've now trapped our blue cable and our brown cable in position. We can then push this white cable down like so. And we need to do basically the same as what we did to begin with, but in reverse. So place our black cable holder on top, like so. Screw back in our screws, again using our Phillips screwdriver this time. Screw this back up. Okay, now my advice to when you're doing this one is just do a little bit at a time. So screw this one in, and then screw this one in. Okay, if you're at all unsure, please check with your teacher. Please also check the actual example that you've got in front of you. It's really important that this is wired up correctly. If you go and plug it in and it's not wired correctly, we will have some issues. So make sure that you actually check this. Okay, you've got this example in front of you, so make sure that you check it and you're 100% sure that you've done it correctly. All right, once you are and you've checked with your teacher that this has been done, you can seal up the plug one way around. There you go, and screw it up from the back. Okay, so we now have the plug that is wired on nice and securely. Okay, so the next thing we're going to work on is our switch. Okay, switch turns on, switch turns off. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is take your Phillips screwdriver and undo the screws that are holding it together. Number one, and number two. Okay, that should release these two parts here. Okay, so what we've got our two connectors on here, and then we've got these two green grommets. What you need to do with these green grommets is you need to take them off, and you need to very carefully thread them over the top of first the piece of wire that's got our socket or our plug connected to it. Okay, this can be a little bit tricky, okay, because it's a little bit fiddly. This is getting this over the top, but take your time and try and get these green grommets just threading over the top, slowly pushing it on over the top. And you need one on here like so, and then your other piece of wire that we haven't used yet, you need to do the same on here. So I'm just going to pause the video, get my grommet on, and then we'll carry on from there. Okay, so I've got my green grommets on, as you can see, one connected to my plug and the other one is later going to be connected to our bulb holder. What we're going to do, first of all, is we're only going to concentrate on the brown wire for now. Okay, on each piece of wire, we're going to take the brown wire and we're going to connect them to these points here. Okay, the left one to the left connector and the right one to the right connector. So the first thing you need to do is take one of your screwdrivers. For this part, it doesn't actually matter. Loosen up these brass screws here, same as we did on the plug. And then we're going to take our brown wire and thread the brown wire through one of them and tighten it up. Again, make sure you tighten it so it squeezes down on the copper wire. Get it nice and tight. And then for the other one, we're going to do the same and place that inside our other connector and then connect those up. Now, you need to make sure that all of your little bits of wire, and I can see, for example, on mine, these bit of copper wires in the middle, you need to make sure they're not touching across connectors, because what that would mean that the switch would permanently be on. Okay, so if they are, just use maybe your screwdriver and separate out those strands of wires so they're not touching across the connectors. I didn't notice that until after. Right, once you've separated the pieces of wire out, the next thing to do is just make sure your grommets are in the right place. So slide them along until they are connected and sort of marry up with these openings at the end of the switch. Right, what we now need to do is reconnect the two bits of blue wire. Okay, so you need to twist these together. Okay, now you need to do this relatively strong so they're not going to come apart like so. And then what we need to do is we need to cover them in a little bit of insulation tape. Okay, so you're going to cut yourself off about 2 centimeters of insulation tape and then cover those blue wires. Again, before you cover the wires, make sure that they are nicely twisted together and not going to come apart, or else your switch and your light won't work. Okay, so I'm going to do that now and you'll be able to see what happens at the end. Okay, so I've cut myself off a bit of insulation tape, and all I need to do is very carefully, making sure I don't separate my two blue wires, place it around them, okay, and then tape it together, okay. And then once I've done that, it doesn't really matter how it looks, it's all gone on the inside. I can then put my switch back together, making sure that my grommets, the green little pieces here, are out of the way. Also make sure you don't screw down into your wire. There is a hole there for the screws to go into, so you might need to just maneuver this around until you're happy and that you're going to have the screw holes free. So you want to be able to get your switch closed. I'm having a little bit of trouble here, maybe because my grommet's around the wrong way. Okay, so twist them around, making sure that we don't screw into our wires. It's quite important, obviously. Okay, so take your time and sort that out, and then once you've got it sorted, they should go together nice and tight. I'll pause it here so I can sort that out. Once I've done it, I'll restart the video. Okay, so that took me a few minutes there just to get it all organised so the wires are out of the way and I was able to seal up my switch. Once you've sealed up your switch, obviously we then place our screws back into our switch like so and screw them up nice and tight to keep our switch together. Okay, so one screw in there and one screw in here, alright? So using the Phillips head screwdriver, screw those two pieces together. Then we have our plug socket and our switch. Right. So the next bit we're going to be working on is our bulb holder. So you're going to need this part here, This part here, this part here, and this part here. This part here you're not going to need till later on. Okay, so the first thing to do is take this part of the bulb holder that has a screw thread inside, and you're going to thread that through your wires like so. Okay, the next part that you're going to need is this part here, which has sort of 4 jaws and a screw thread on the outside. And you're going to thread that onto your wires and then slide this over the top of your white wire as well. Okay, now we're going to slide that up later on. Okay, so the next part is this part here. We are 2 sort of clips and our screw thread on the inside. Your clips need to be facing upwards, and you need to thread your wire through like so. Okay, then the last part that we got here is our bulb holder. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to place the 2 wires. Now these 2, okay, so there are 4 holes in this one here, and what you need is 1 wire going into each of these 4 holes. Now I would suggest you take a look at the example on the table and make sure you follow it. So what we simply need to do, making sure that your wires are twisted, okay, twisted together nice and neatly. We're going to push 1 wire in the brown wire into the left hand side, and diagonally opposite we're going to push this wire into the other side like so, and that will be sufficient. Now the next stage is to pull this section up, and you should be able to see that we're lining these clip parts up with these parts on the top and pushing that into position. I'm having a little tricky, there you go, like so. And then the next stage is to push this part up like this and screw this on the bottom. Again, this can be a little bit tricky because I guess it's twisting fine now. It's cutting up a little bit of wire at the bottom, but that's okay. This twists up at the bottom, and then last but not least, we're going to connect our piece over the top to hold it in all nice and securely. And then in theory, you should have a socket that works effectively. The only thing left to do is speak to your teacher. He will check it over for you, put a bulb in there, plug it in, switch it on, and then you are good to go. Okay, so this is the last piece here, but this is just to hold the bulb in all together. Okay, as I said to you, please make sure that you take your time with this. Check your wiring with your teacher, check with the example to make sure that all are done correctly, and you will have a bulb holder that works at the end of it.